Good morning. Yes, today is the 13th of November. On the last occasion, we adjourned until today to receive further evidence in this matter. Between that date and today's date, we have received a letter from Judge Makhubele where she is requesting that the matter be postponed. And in the correspondence dated the 1st of November 2023, she sets out the reason why she wants a postponement. And we are here today to consider that request. I see she is represented today by Mr. Sibui, am I correct, sir? Yes, and let's see where we then go from there. Safe to say good morning all, and we will then proceed. Yes, Mr.
Oh, sorry. So she take it to know where the 29th of September, whatever it is.
Yes, on the last occasion when we adjourned, we were hoping to hear by the 29th of December what the status of the matter is, or whether we're presenting, or whether we're going to go on today. Well, Mr. Sibui, we didn't hear, and the first I've heard about it all was on the 1st of November, and then I got in touch with the other members of the tribunal. And we're here today to hear from you, sir. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, the members of the tribunal. My name is Thomas Sibui, an attorney for Judge Makhubele for today. Judge Makhubele is joining the proceedings of today virtually. I understand that the proceedings for today were preceded by correspondences exchange between the office of the from the Secretary of the JSC on behalf of members of the tribunal and Judge Makhubele. My understanding is that the letter which was addressed to the members of the tribunal by Judge Makhubele, as the Honorable Chair has just indicated, mentioned about, is that there were a response from that letter, and the response, if I were to read the response to the record so that we were on the same page. The response came on the 6th of November from Nduvuo Tumbana, who is the Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission from the Office of the Chief Justice. And the letter reads as follows. It says, "Dear colleagues, the above matters refers. Kindly note that the members of the Judicial Conduct Tribunal have read the submission of Judge Makhubele and have agreed to grant the postponement. Please note that the proposed new hearing date is set for the 4th week of January 2024, specifically from January 22nd to January 26th. The venue for the hearing will remain the same as originally planned. Kindly confirm whether you are in agreement of the suggested dates, and if not, provide any alternate dates that may be suitable to you. We will greatly appreciate it if you could provide a response before the close of business today." So, just to put things in context, that's what informed the proceedings of today, that Judge Makhubele is joining virtually. the understanding from a side is that the issues that we previously postponed the proceedings because we addressed in the letter that we met with a response that I just read. Unless if the chair will want us to read that letter for the record, we can gladly do so. But otherwise, if there's other issues arising from that, Judge Makhubele, it's on the call. There was a link which was sent this morning, which she joined the proceedings on. That arrangement were also based on the correspondences where there was a letter which was addressed to us indicating that in order to save the cost, the directive from the chair is that the proceedings for today should be conducted hybrid in the sense that personal and physically. And there was a request that we must indicate our position, whether we'll join the proceedings virtually or physically. We provided a response to that effect where I also have the emails here, where we confirm that we'll also be joining the proceedings for today virtually. After that, there was a request that considering that some of the participants in these proceedings will be coming to join physically, there must at least be one person from Judge Makhubele's side who will come to the proceedings today physically. Hence, I'm here, Chair. So, in essence, our understanding is that the issues that led to the previous postponement were also addressed in the letter. But, however, there's been a development as of Friday regarding those issues. So on Friday, we received the correspondence from the office of the State Attorney Johannesburg.
Just a minute, when you say Friday, just give us the date, please. Which date did you receive this correspondence from the office?
The 10th of November.
Yeah, on the 10th of November, we received a correspondence from the office of the State Attorney. Being the email has not been, the correspondence has not been discussed between us and Judge Makhubele, but the essence of it is that the State Attorney is in agreement to pay the legal, I mean the invoices which were, or rather the legal bill that Judge Makhubele has incurred, except that there needs to be an agreement around the tariffs. So the issue seems to be tariffs now, but there's not been discussion around that issue between us and Judge Makhubele. And just before the proceedings, we've discussed with Judge Makhubele that immediately after the proceedings, we should be meeting in order to discuss the way forward.
Sorry, just repeat that for me. The agreement now is that the outstanding fees of counsel Maleka and his group were here up to the time we stopped, and also payment of fees for the future, for the duration of the trial or the hearing until the end.
Okay.
Is that the undertaking?
Thank you. So it's just an email which contains tariffs that the State Attorney will be willing to pay the bill that we've rendered on and going forward. So there yet to be an agreement around that issue, because our position, remember these things was twofold. There was an issue whether there's a funding agreement or not, and whether there's an issue of tariffs or whatever. So it seems to be on a second stage now. The State Attorney, they do accept that there's a funding legal agreement between Judge Makhubele and the state. So the issue now is the issue of what is the appropriate tariffs that the state attorney is prepared to pay on.
If I may, I don't think it's just a question of the tariff from what you said now, but it is whatever tariff is agreed upon, there will still be another issue whether the attorney representing Judge Makhubele and counsel representing her would be prepared to accept the tariff. What we're concerned with is, at the end of the day, we would like to proceed because we have amongst ourselves agreed that we have to make the deadline for the next JSC sitting, and we are concerned about that. So whatever date we agree upon today, we would like to know whether we're getting the all clear to proceed, or whether there will still be another impediment, so to speak, stopping us from going on. If you just give me a minute. Yes, it's just been pointed out to me that the third member, Ms. Maduba Selevu, is not present here, but she's being kept informed as to what's going on. That's just for the record. Now, can we just deal with the question I've put to you? Is the only thing outstanding the tariff that I think it's the state attorney, is prepared to pay, and there is going to be no question about who's going to represent her then, or is it an issue how much the state attorney is prepared to pay? And is it still an issue as to whether the people representing the Judge Makhubele is going to represent her, whatever tariff is agreed upon? If you could just clear that up for us, please, Mr. Subey.
Well, Chair, thank you for that. But it would be premature for me to say that the one be, because as I've indicated, we received a correspondence on Friday. We have been discussed, it's a matter of between us and Judge Makhubele to discuss it. So, but from where we understand is that the issue around that, whether there is a legal funding agreement between the state and Judge Makhubele is cleared. So this one, I will just be speculating. I will have to either confer with Judge Makhubele, or she can simply respond to that question because she's joining virtually. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We'll hear you, Ms. Zungu.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, Chairperson, I would like to express my disappointment in regards to not having been able to proceed with this matter, especially in light of the fact that at the previous postponement it was indicated that we would be proceeding today, whether or not there was legal representation for Judge Makhubele. Be as it may, we understand the difficulties that have encountered by Judge Makhubele with regards to her legal representation, especially with regards to her engagement with the State Attorney's Office with regards to the legal representation. We were not aware of the correspondence that was forwarded to the Mabuza attorneys with regards that it is now clear that the state attorney will be funding. And if I did hear correctly from Mr. Sibuyi, that issue of the legal representation is now clear. The only issue outstanding at this stage is whether or not, based on the tariffs that have been suggested, they will be accepting the brief going further on. And Chairperson, I really would like to say this. Again, we sit with an uncertainty with regards to that. Because if there is, or when is it that we can get that certainty? Because if a date is set, yet again for the hearing to proceed, we need to be certain that at the next sitting, we will definitely proceeding, whether or not the tariffs have been accepted or not. and that whether there will be legal representation for Judge Makhubele. We are sitting at the stage where, in as much as the state attorney has confirmed with certainty now in regards to an email, but will she be represented at the next hearing? I think that's the crux of it now, where we are sitting, because we don't want to be setting dates only to find that we cannot proceed because the tariffs have not been accepted or there's no legal representation for Judge Makhubele. But we also understand the difficulties that she's encountered with regards to getting certainty on that aspect. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, thank you. We have a representative of the complainant over here, Mr. Cheadle, who represents the complainant. They, of course, are also interested in, well, more than anything else, the finalization of this matter. We have correspondence from the complainant's attorney as to what their position is. I'm going to turn to Mr. Judicial and just hear briefly what is his take on the situation in which we find ourselves today. Mr. Judicial, if you could please just make it clear as to what the complainant's position is.
It aligns itself with the position of the evidence leader. The complainants and our firm were not supplied with the correspondence that we saw, and so the letter that we did send raised the issue, our concerns about endless postponements, our concern again around the issue that if the matter is postponed until January, that we might be facing again exactly another set of postponements. But we do understand the situation that Judge Makhubele finds herself, and I suppose say no more than maybe the appropriate thing is to have a report by Judge Makhubele or her attorneys by the end of this month as to whether or not the tariff issue has been settled. But I leave that obviously in your hands, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cheadle. What concerns me, as I said, that the tribunal did set a deadline for itself. And that's a deadline that we hope to keep. I can understand Judge Makhubele's situation as far as legal representation is concerned. And on the last occasion when we met and we took the adjournment, I did make it quite clear that this week we would proceed whether representation is available for Judge Makhubele or not. But I've read the letter that originates from her. I'm just surprised that the complainant wasn't informed, but I had given instructions that everybody should be informed. And that's why we are all here today, so that at least I can be satisfied that we're all on the same page. I've considered the issue, and it is clear that whether Judge Makhubele can be blamed for the position in which she found herself, or whether the blame lays elsewhere. And this is, if I may just state it, my view that I certainly would like to have proceeded, but I wouldn't have liked to proceed riding roughshod over the rights of Judge Makhubele, because this is a serious matter for her. And I have, as was pointed out by the attorney representing her here today, Mr. Sabui, that I can understand her position, and was prepared to consider the application favorably, but as already indicated, there may be some opposition to that today, and we are here today to see if we can deal with the matter. The one issue that has now arisen that I would like some certainty on, just speaking for myself, and I think I may speak for my colleague here, that the only issue is whether representation is outstanding and the fees that I understand the Solicitor General has made available by tariff, whether that's acceptable or not. Because if it is not acceptable, we're back to where we are today, and I want to avoid that. It's been pointed out, and I do accept it, that we can proceed whether Judge Makhubele comes with representation or not, but I wouldn't like to compel her to appear if representation can be found within the time limit that I've already mentioned, namely that we would have to get a report to the JSC when the JSC meets again next year. And that is my concern for the moment. We are no doubt going to, at some stage today, adjourned. And if any adjournment is going to be considered after that, I'm afraid, my view is, and I will then share that view with the rest of the tribunal and perhaps with the rest of this gathering, is that if any further adjournment is asked for by Judge Makhubele, is that the view of the tribunal is that we will proceed, and she will have to approach the appropriate court for an adjournment, and I can say no more than that. But it certainly won't be at this tribunal's decision that we consider any further representation. I am somewhat, let me make it clear, I'm sympathetic to her position in which she finds herself today. But I can say no more, and I may say this, it is not the unanimous view of the tribunal that we should have considered an adjournment. So let's just get that quite clear. And that if anything further is going to happen, it will have to be a decision taken elsewhere, because it's the decision of this tribunal. And I have discussed it with all the members that when we meet again, we move forward. Whatever else is outstanding will be for consideration of another issue if the judge, Makhubele, wants to take it forward then after that. Is there anything that you wish to ask any questions on, Mr. Sabui?
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm that perhaps if we afford Judge Makhubele a week or so to come to the tribunal through a correspondence or otherwise, just to indicate a position, I think that would be appropriate.
Chair, I've got two issues that occupy my mind presently. Maybe the first is to seek more clarity from Mr. Sibui. You spoke about correspondence which came later last week. My worry is that if the tariff in terms of the latest correspondence is not agreed upon between the parties. You recall in the previous correspondence, there was a threat to take on review the decision of the state attorney or solicitor somewhere in January next year. The question really is, if there's no agreement on the present tariff, can we anticipate that there may be an application to the High Court for a review of that tariff? Or are you not able to say that with certainty today or something? If you can't, you can't. I understand your situation.
Thank you, Chair. I can't confirm for certain that that will be the position. Hence, I was suggesting that if we afford Judge Makhubele a week to consider a position in light of that email, because I understand that she hasn't considered it. And it could be that she would need to go back to the state attorney for clarity or for any issue arising therefrom. But the issue, as I'm sitting here, I'm not able to confirm for certain that what will be the position in light of the email.
The other issue, Chairperson, that occupies my mind is, it's clear we have to adjourn now and go and decide what ruling we make today, depending on the agreed date. But is the agreement between all the parties that whatever correspondence we have up to now, as well as possibly the latest correspondence, be handed up now as part of the records of the proceedings for today? Is there any agreement, or conversely stated, is there any objection to all the correspondence that we have to date be handed up for purposes of today's proceedings so they can be referred to in arriving at an appropriate decision in the interest of justice?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sibui. We'd like to hear you. Could the correspondence to date dealing with today's issue just be included in the record? And I mean all the correspondence. Do you have a view on that?
Well, I'm not certain for sure whether the one for Friday we can hand it in now without the approval of Judge Makhubele. But it appears that all the correspondences are already part of the record because it's an exchange between the all player, participant. So I will just want to defer on this specific one to Judge Makhubele.
Maybe I misunderstood you. Do you wish to take instructions on that, or can I simply go forward with that issue? Because I was going to ask Ms. Zungu, and if anything, Mr. Cheadle, whether all the correspondence should be included in the record, or is there anything that you wish to exclude, and we will then hear whichever party wants to have something to say about that. Do you want to take instructions?
Yeah, I will certainly take instructions.
You want to take instructions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Zungu, do you wish to say anything so at least we know where we are with what has been written and all the correspondence? Can we just include it in the record as far as you are concerned?
Thank you, Chairperson. I have no problem with all the correspondence being included as part of the record, especially taking into consideration that it's forming part and parcel of the proceedings in this matter. Thank you.
Mr. Cheadle, you represent the complainants here today. Do you have any objection?
No objection at all.
Yes, thank you. Well, then, Mr. Sibui, we'll wait to hear from you.
No, I just confirmed with Judge Makhubele now. She texted me. She said it's fine.
Ah, well, that's good, sir. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Well, then, it's taken that all the correspondence dealing with today's position could be and should form part of the record then. The two issues that remain outstanding is the one raised by Judge Moshili. And the issue, as I understand it, is if we adjourn today, Judge Makhubele will have representation, and it will no longer be an issue for this tribunal to consider, or that that is still a live issue, or whether those representing Judge Makhubele still wishes to consider their position, whether they will accept the tariff, as I understand it, being offered for representation for her. And I think we must make, as far as the position of this inquiry, quite clear, because the only issue that we have outstanding is really Judge Makhubele's version. I don't know if there's anything else that Judge Makhubele wished to raise other than her version as to what had occurred. My understanding is, and Ms. Zungu can confirm if she can, that as far as the evidence leaders are concerned, that's the only, they are done with leading any further evidence. Do you wish to take instructions on that, or can you just tell us now that the only issue is Judge Makhubele's evidence that's outstanding? So we know how to move forward.
Yet again, I'm not able to confirm, but I do know that she raised this issue frontally in a response, in a letter, that that part is an important part of the proceedings, and it cannot be simply taken it lightly like that, because, and she exercised the, I mean, in a letter, she made it clear that she would wish to have a legal representative. So I don't think I'm in a position to disavow her in light of what she said on a letter. Yeah.
Then may I then just simply repeat what the tribunal's position is, and that the tribunal will proceed whatever date we agreed upon today, and any adjournments after that will have to be decided by another forum, but it will not be this tribunal who would have to decide upon that. I hope that that is the position. Do you understand, Mr. Sabui? And yes. Is there anything you wish to add, Mzungu?
There is nothing that I wish to add, Chairperson, except for the fact that I think Mr. Chidol raised the issue that if we, and I think Mr. Sibuye also agreed to it, that she be provided with a week or two and in a correspondence to indicate to us that what the position will be. I think that becomes very vital, because with regards to moving forward, there's lots of preparation that has to go into this matter, and therefore one has to take into consideration all those aspects so that we know with certainty, because we have been faced with uncertainty for like approximately 5 months now, since the last sitting. Thank you.
Yes, and before we put a full stop behind that matter, I can only again point out what Judge Mushidi had to say about it. We had a deadline, so to speak, to hear from Judge Makhubele. That deadline was not complied with, and I think that is by and large the reason why we gathered here today, to understand clearly what is the judge's position. And as I understand it, you will only be able to say what the judge's position is, I think by the end of this month. Am I correct, Mr. Sabui? That, and it's really on two issues: whether we will proceed and that she will be represented either by her present attorneys and counsel, or is she proposing some other method of representation which could lead to further adjournments? Just what is Judge Makhubele's final situation today? If you could just clear that for us, and then we will move on.
Okay. Chair, thank you very much. If I may, with the greatest of respect, to us just a stand down of 5 minutes, so that I'm able to reach out to Judge Makhubele, and perhaps I might be able to have direct answers to the issues.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sabui. We will then stand down for 10 minutes and call us when you're ready, please.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Have you got an answer for us, Mr. Sabui?
Thank you very much, Chair, for the indulgence. I did check with Judge Makhubele. In essence, we wanted to come back and confirm with certainty regarding your question, whether come on the date that will postpone the matter to, whether Judge Makhubele will be in a position to proceed with the matter. So she confirmed that yes, she will be in a position to proceed with the matter. So what we're doing, really, we're just checking with Mr. Malika SC to check his availability. If, say, everything is sorted out, those days will be suitable for him. So he confirmed that he will be available from that 4th week of January 2024.
Fourth week of January, according to the calendar, is the 22nd of January.
Yes, to the 26th.
So the 22nd of January, can we take it? Everybody from your side would be ready on the 22nd of January?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. What do you say, Ms. Zungu?
Thank you, Chair. When the dates were suggested, because remember it was a suggestion regards to the dates, I did indicate that may we please not use that dates due to reasons. I did explain in the email, and that we rather use the week 29 to February. So 29 January to 2 February.
Can I understand, if you can just tell me very briefly, why the 22nd of January would not be convenient for you? I'll tell you why. Because we would have to have our report in, because there's still argument to be heard. And then after argument, we would have to put a report in at least by the last week or the second last week of March, because the JSC will meet shortly after that. And if we miss that deadline, well, you know, then we're into June. So that was the date that came to my mind. Is there any way of you meeting the 22nd of January? Because timelines are now getting very, very short.
Chair, it becomes very difficult during the month of January, especially because children are also going to school and everything that happens in that week before. You know, there's a lot that happens in that week and the week before then. That is the reason why, and there's also a lot of preparation in regards to this matter. It's not something that you can just skim through with regards to documents. We've got 29 lever arch files, and that week would have then been the preparation week. But if the chair has put these reasons down, then I guess one will have to shorten the leave earlier, maybe cancel part of my leave earlier, so that I get sufficient time to deal with my own issues. But be as it may, it means leave will have to be cancelled then, so that I can accommodate the tribunal. But I must put it forward to the chairperson that, you know, one has always been very accommodating, and I've always been available on all dates that have been set for the sitting of this tribunal. But be as it may, and considering the finalization and the unreasonable delay, I will make alternative arrangements for the week preceding the week 22 to 26.
perhaps accommodate you and the tribunal if we start Wednesday the 24th. Would that help? I don't want to put too much pressure on you. I understand your situation, but there's also a situation for the tribunal that we would like to, because after the evidence, we have to consider time for the preparation of argument, and then to hear argument, and then we will then have to deal with our report for the JSC. And I really wouldn't like to miss the March-April sitting of the JSC, really.
Chair, I will take the week 22 to 26.
Oh.
I think those are the dates that all council have made themselves available for. I will work my diary and just make alternative arrangements. It's no problem. I will find a way. It's still early.
Yes, thank you, Mzungu. Mr. Cheadle, you represent the complainant. I think you followed what I've said. Do you wish to add anything?
No, we'll accept those dates. Obviously, we're not entirely certain that Mr. Bishop Advocate Bishop will be available, but we will be here. But we do want to just raise one issue, Chair, and that is these dates are on the assumption that there's agreement on the tariff. And so the issue that I'm requesting is that that by the end of November, Judge Makhubele advises us either that the tariff has been agreed and that the current team will be representing her on the 22nd. Alternatively, that she appoints by then, if there's no agreement, another firm of attorneys who will accept the tariff in order that we don't face a postponement on the 22nd of January to the effect that she hasn't been able to find attorneys or counsel. And I wondered if that wouldn't be a direction that the tribunal might consider.
No, I was going to deal with that after we more or less have a date. The date is fine. Now, as far as the issue that we are really concerned with here, that the tribunal will set the date as agreed today, as far as Judge Makhubele's representations is concerned. We're hoping to have the same firm of attorneys and same counsel representing her on that date. But for any other reason, if they could not meet that date for whatever reason, I'm afraid, and I have said this before, that any address would have to be to another forum to get an adjournment, if you follow what I say. That is the position, and if I may add, Ms. Salevu is watching us, and I have spoken to her about it as well, that the date that I've suggested to Mzungu is the date that suits the tribunal. And if anybody else wants to seek a date outside the date that we agree upon to date, I think they would have to approach another forum, but this forum will meet and we will then take it from there. That, as my understanding is concerned, that's the best we can do, Mr. Cheadle. Yes. I don't know if you've been following, Mr. Sabui, that it seems that the 22nd of January is actually a deadline, because then we are running into trouble if you can't finish it around that time. And if Judge Makhubele is not in a position to proceed that date, I'm afraid she would have to provide real cogent reasons, or she would have to approach another forum to interdict, if I may use that word, the sitting. But we would like to know by the end, and this is the point that's being made, we would like to know by the end of this month, which is the end of November, what her position is going to be. Very little happens during December, and almost nothing happens at the beginning of January. So if we could hear exactly what her position is going to be at the end of this month, whatever the arrangements her attorneys and advocate may have with the Solicitor General, well, they'll have to sort that out. But as far as this tribunal is concerned, we would like to proceed on the 22nd of January and conclude that week or as soon thereafter with what we have to do. I think you do understand me, Mr. Sabui, is that correct? You understand me, Mzungu?
Yes, Chair, although I was going to ask the tribunal if maybe we can just make it an exact date of being I think the last day of November is the 30th, which is the Thursday, if we could have a correspondence outlining everything in regards so that we go through with certainty.
Yes. I think you followed to what Ms. Sungu is saying, so could we have your reply, if possible, and by the end of November, please? I think as Judge Shidi has pointed out, we were hoping to have some certainty by, it was the end of September, isn't it? Yeah. And nothing happened after that. So please could you impress upon those whom you represent today that just not to leave us, as so to speak, hanging. You understand?
I confirm, Chair.
Yeah.
I confirm, yeah.
Is there anything else you wish to say?
No, nothing.
Mzungu, is there anything else which you wish to add?
No, Chair, I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Cheadle, is there anything?
Nothing to add, sir.
Well, thank you.
I was just trying to suggest to the chairperson that having agreed on the date for the next hearing, that the parties should attempt to keep open days for the presentation of argument, heads of argument. I know it's very difficult to fix dates now, but the parties should tentatively agree on immediately after the conclusion of the evidence to provide the tribunal with heads of argument and then come back for a date of argument and for the tribunal to make a decision and prepare their report to the JSC within a few weeks thereafter. I don't know what the feeling is, but maybe the evidence leader and counsel for Judge Makhubele would agree on that or think about it in the meantime. But immediately we finish the evidence, we would be calling for written heads of arguments and a date for the hearing or for the argument. And then we must set a date to come back to hand down our findings.
Mayor.
Councillor, I know it's difficult. I said this sometime last year, but it should follow that after the conclusion of evidence, parties should be allowed to go back and prepare heads of arguments and have deadlines and dates. Then we set a date to come back for the argument itself, and another date for the actual handing down of the finding of this tribunal. It's all in the future somewhere.
Thank you so much, Judge Mashidi. I think at this stage we're sitting with a bit of uncertainty with regards to the way forward. Yes, we've set down the dates of 22 January to 26 January. However, the letter that we should be expecting as of the 30th of November will then take us forward, because we are not yet sure of the stance that's going to be taken with regards to the legal representation. But I'm sure that once we've got the letter and once council have they know what the way forward is, we will then immediately embark on getting dates with regards to submission of the heads of argument and the argument dates. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Sibuyi, you follow what was said?
Yes, I
And
follow,
you
Chair.
would, and you would convey that to
Certainly.
those instructing you.
Certainly. Thank you.
Well then, that concludes all we have to do for this session. We then stand adjourned to the 22nd, the week of the 22nd of January, 2024. Thank you all.